what would and it had me doing a very interesting conversation with myself. It's like, what is important to me? What do I value? And does money get in my way of achieving those goals? So when I started thinking, what would I do with $1 million? The first thing I thought about, or what are my goals? What's really important to me? What's really important to me, what is my main goal, is really seeing and investing in other Black women brands to be successful. So giving other Black women brands the tools, the resources, the knowledge they need so they can grow and thrive. That's what gives me joy. That's what I love to do. And so if I can get money, that's what I would invest it in. I would invest in trying to create a platform to help Black women create brands and be successful. That's what Black and Green is. That's what we are doing, is that we have created a marketplace for Black women to sell their products in wholesale. So the more I was thinking about how I was spending this money, it gave me a lot of it made me excited because I said, you know what I should do? What is a great way for me to spend money is to launch the Black and Green Academy. This is something I've always wanted to do. So I started Black and Green 4 years ago, it was always a three-part system. The first part was a marketplace. The second part was an academy or a school of some sort to teach other Black women how to be successful and create thriving businesses. The third part was the accelerator or an incubator. My main undercurrent goal was always to see Black businesses thrive and grow. And so, with that being my main goal of trying to see them thrive and grow, I launched and developed the marketplace a couple of years ago, and now I'm ready to step into the next thing that we're going to work on. And the next thing I want to work on is the Black and Green Academy. I'm very excited about the Black and Green Academy because I think I'm always a student. I'm always a student. I never want to stop learning. There's always something for me to learn. I never know enough. And I think that every knowledge I have, everything I learned, is a gift. It's a gift for me to share it with someone else. Anything that I know, anything that I've learned, I'm responsible in some ways for making sure I share that information with someone else. So I don't want to be selfish with my information. I don't want to be selfish with my knowledge. Everything I learned, all the hard work I've gone through to learn things, all the mistakes I've made, it's my duty to try to share it with as many women who want the information to make sure they do not make the same mistakes as me. So I'm really excited that we're going to be working on the Black and Green Academy to help me and help us do my goal of trying to teach you all the things I'm learning and try to create an environment of support where we can always be there to support each other. And it made me very excited about if I had $1 million, what would I do? What would I do with that $1 million? Honestly, in addition to creating courses for Black women to learn, I would also love if I was like a grant writer. I would love if people submitted grants to me. I read their applications. I wrote out grants. That would make me very happy if I could write out checks to Black women who are trying to create brands and trying to be successful, can't get access to capital. If I had capital to give out to all these amazing brands that are existing, I would love to do that. And so I always want to understand and walk in line with my passion and be able to do things that are consistent with me. So when they ask me that question, I said, okay, what's important to me? So ask yourself, what's important to you? And making sure that every single thing you do aligns with what is important to you. So if you guys can drop things in the chat about what's important to you, I would love for us to talk about ways that you can make sure that you're always walking consistent with your values. And that's very important to me. That I always want to make sure I'm being a conscientious consumer and a conscientious person who's existing in this world, to always make sure that every step I take is always in line with and very consistent with what my values are, which can be really, really hard because we're all human. We all make mistakes, but the goal is always there to make sure that you can try to be as consistent with your values as possible and admit when you are not being consistent with your values, because sometimes we aren't. Sometimes we're just tired, and sometimes we just had enough, and sometimes you don't do your best. But the goal is to always to try to live in alignment with your values. So please feel free to drop what are the things that you would spend your money on, and the things that you care about, and the things that you love, and how you want to make sure that all the actions you take are consistent with what you believe in. The first step is always knowing, what do I believe in? And that could be your journey. You might not know exactly what you believe in. That's where you have to start the path. Start every step you take needs to be consistent with you living out your beliefs. If you don't know your beliefs, let's start there. Let's understand, what are your beliefs? What's important to you? What gives you energy? What gives you joy? What do you want to be remembered for? What do you not want to be remembered for? So the things that you don't like, then make sure you can go ahead and cut those things out. So what are the things that are really, really important for you? So I'll say this one for me. I want to be an amazing mother. That's really, really important to me. I want to make sure I treat my two young boys amazing. I want to hear their voice. I want them to be able to tell me what they want. And I don't want to let my frustration or my anger when my boys are getting out of pocket, because they do sometimes, they get a little yippy, yippy, yippy. And so the human in me, the mom in me wants to say, boy, if you don't sit down and be quiet, that makes me want to go up in arms. But I want to be a good mother. And I know that my emotional response to what they are doing, when they don't understand anything, they don't understand anything at all. There's just emotions that are coming out in a, might be in a very disrespectful way. So when they respond to me and what I think is disrespectful, sometimes I want to make sure I don't respond disrespectful back. Because the difference is, they don't know, but I do know. So if I know that they're responding to me and they're responding to me in a disrespectful way, I don't want to respond back to them in a disrespectful way, because that will be intentional. That will be me intentionally treating them that way. I don't want to treat my boys that way. I want my boys to be treated wonderfully. I never want to treat them out of a place of lack of compassion or lack of my frustration. So I know that's something that's very, very important to me. So I want to make sure I always do that. I know that my black and green is very important to me. I want to make sure that I invest in all the black women who are creating products to try to help their brands be as successful as possible. That is important to me. So I want to make sure that every step I take is always in line with me doing that. I know I want to be an amazing wife. So I want to make sure I talk to my husband, understands what his needs are, so I can do the best job of trying to make sure that he is happy and he is showing up the best way he can. Because black men don't get a lot of support in this world of America. So I want to make sure that I counteract that. I counteract what America is throwing on black men. And I want to support him, and I want to make sure I do whatever I can to make sure that he feels healthy and happy in this world. I feel like that is my duty. So my duty is to be an amazing mother. My duty is to be an amazing wife. My duty is also to be an amazing sister. So when I need to listen to my brother, when he's telling me about the things that he needs, I want to make sure that I'm always listening to him and receiving what he's saying and be able to give him the support that he needs. I think that a big part of my role is being a strong support system. I want to be a very strong support system so I can support everyone around me, whether it's my brother, whether it's my family, whether it's my boys, whether it's my husband. I always want to be a solid constant that I can always help support them. But in order for me to support them, I have to make sure that I'm well supported and I am taken care of. So that way I can help hold the weight around me. So that's why it's so important for you to always invest in yourself. You always have to invest in yourself to make sure that you can show up to support those around you. So I know that what make me happy is supporting everyone around me. That means I have to make sure I stay solid so I can do that support. So that's a part of the way I would spend my money. I would spend my money on doing the things I know will keep me happy. I know traveling keeps me happy. I know going to yoga keeps me happy. So I will make sure I do those things. So I feel happy and I feel grounded. I can make sure everyone around me feels happy and grounded. And so I know those are things for me. And you guys feel free to hop in there if there's anything else that's important to you. Is it any other way that how you would spend that $5,000, or actually they went all the way up to $1 million? What are the ways that you would spend $1 million? When I started thinking about me spending $1 million, all the different ways I would spend $1 million, the main thing is I would want to invest in more brands because that is important to me. The most important thing when I try to spend my money is always making sure I spend my money where my mouth is. I want to be consistent. I want to be conscientious. I want to be thoughtful about the way I spend my money. I want to be very, very thoughtful about the way I spend my money because I know that me choosing to spend my money with Black owned indie brands allows those brands to thrive. It allows me to make a choice to support them when it can be hard for them to walk through the doors and go get a loan from a bank. But I can choose to support those brands, and those brands can be successful even without the support of brands. Those brands can still be successful. So I know that's what's important to me. I know what's important to me is supporting Black owned brands and making sure that I can show up in the world in a happy, healthy place to support all those around me. So that will be the ways that I spend my money if someone just magically wrote me a check. That's how I would do it. So if you guys have any more ideas of how you would spend the money, feel free to drop them in the chat. And feel free and tell me about how you would spend the money. Tell me about what's important to you, or let me know if you have any questions for me. While I'm still here for a couple more minutes, I'll be here for about 5 more minutes. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat and let me know. But that was on my heart to talk about today because I know that going through that conversation yesterday of how I would spend money opened up my eyes in a lot of ways because I think that we often think that money is a limiting factor. So imagine if you had money, how would your life look? So I think that was a very interesting exercise for me to go through. If I imagined that I had money, if I imagined I had endless money, how would my steps change? How would my steps be different? And how would my steps be exactly the same? Is money as much of a limitation as I think it is? Or can I set up to make certain moves and certain steps depending on what I'm trying to accomplish? So I just think that going through that exercise helped me realize that money is not as nearly as big as a barrier as I thought it was. That if you have the right alignment and the right goals, instead of place in the right effort, you can work hard to get the things that you want to get done without money being a thing to stop you from achieving those goals. All right, all right, all right. A couple more minutes to see if you guys have any questions. But I'm not gonna keep you here Saturday, because it's a Saturday and the weather it hasn't started raining in Maryland yet. I know the rain is coming, but it hasn't started raining yet. So I would like you guys to go ahead and get back to your day. I want to make sure that you guys don't have any questions for me. But if you guys don't have any questions for me, thank you so much for joining me in my talk about freedom and my talk about how money does not have to be a barrier to hold you back and how don't look at money as being a barrier at all. That whatever your dreams are, whatever the things that you want to invest in, feel free to invest in those. And I'm doing the work with the launch of BLK GRN Academy to help you invest in your dreams. So if you're out there and you want to create a product and you want to create a business, but you don't know where to start, I'm creating a program to help guide you through that. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. This has been really, really fun. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I will see you next Saturday. We're going to do lives on Saturdays instead of on Sundays. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me.